and welcome to the live, everybody. All right, let's get into this. We're gonna kick it off with this. We're gonna keep it rolling. Appreciate y'all for follow, share, and subscribe. Appreciate y'all for coming.
And did you guys see Biden is perverted? Some footage was found, leaked, dug up, whatever you want to call it, of him in 2016 addressing some soldiers. I don't know where it was. It could have been looked like it might have been overseas. I don't know. But he's up there talking to him and he says, I'm a smart guy. I did this, I did that. And I'm the one who told Johnson, he points behind him. So it must have been some general or somebody, I don't know. He said, I'm the one that told Johnson he said, I'm a smart guy. I married Jill, and I'm the one that told Johnson to join the academy or some shit like that. And then he goes, then there's kind of a silence, and he goes, you guys go ahead and clap for that, you stupid bastards. Hey, that shit was funny, man. That shit was funny. And anybody being offended by what he says, you're wrong, man. Like, who gives a fuck? I mean, though my only problem is, and his camp, Biden's camp came out saying, oh, he was saying that in jest, he was just messing around. He didn't mean it. And that's probably true. I mean, as crazy as that old fucker is, I don't know. I mean, this is back in 2016. So now, yeah, he probably totally would have said that shit, not joking around. But back then, I'm going to go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt that he was just kidding. My only problem is if it was the same exact situation, nothing changed, except it was Trump instead of Biden, you know how these fuckers would have reacted. There would have been no listening to, oh, he was just saying it in jest. No, he hates the troops. He wants them to die. That would be the narrative. That's the part I have a problem with. I don't care that he called them these stupid bastards. That shit was funny. If I was there, I would have laughed. And I'm sure they did too. That shit, it was funny. It was unexpected to hear that fool sit up there and say, bastards. Yeah, go ahead and clap for that, you stupid bastards. It was funny. And to call him a bunch of stupid bastards, that was just a unique set of words to choose for that situation. That shit was funny, man. I don't have a problem with what he said. Shit was hilarious. It's just the hypocrisy. That's where my problem is, because if the shoe were on the orange foot, these motherfuckers would lose their mind. See, he hates them. He hates the troops. So because he said a joke, he hates them and wants them to die. He wants their mothers and fathers to cry over the loss of their young lives. Get the fuck out of here, man. In order for us to fix shit, we have to get back to some basics. There have to be some non-negotiables, and there has to be a sense of, yeah, I know you were just fucking around. You know what I mean? Getting offended over shit people say simply because they're on the opposite side is stupid. All right? People joke around. It was a funny joke. I know Biden doesn't give us many things to compliment him on, but that shit was funny. So, Trump rolls out the Platinum Plan. This is his plan, or a plan, to do what exactly? Now, I don't agree with this whole plan. I don't. Some things I like, some things I think are fucking stupid and gonna do more damage than good. Allow me to elaborate. So some of the things I like is, number one, he's going to prosecute Antifa as a terrorist organization. Finally, that's what they are. You're intimidating people trying to get your demands met through terrorism, through terrorizing people, through fear. They are a terrorist organization, textbook. So yes, prosecute them as a fucking terrorist organization. Do you not prosecute mobsters and shit under the RICO statute? Because that's gangster. When you do gangster shit, they prosecute you under these gangster rules. They're acting like a terrorist organization, so prosecute them as such. That I agree with. Also, making Juneteenth a national holiday. I agree with that. The end of slavery is a big fucking deal. What is it? Over 600,000 men gave their lives for that. I say we commemorate it. Call me crazy. I don't have a problem with Juneteenth being a national holiday as long as we get rid of Black History Month. That's an insult. It's stupid. It's a slap in the face to not only people who aren't Black, but to Black people. What do they fucking talk about and what do they do during Black History Month? What, the streaming platforms put some Black stories up? McDonald's tells you about fucking Martin Luther King and George Washington Carver? Heard it. Heard the fucking I Have a Dream speech 10,000 times. Fuck Black History Month. Making Juneteenth a national holiday, I'm down with that. Also, school choice. What was it? Kim Klacik was on, man, what was she on? Maybe she was on Fox or something. But I saw her giving an interview and they asked her, they said, is it true that out of 10 schools, they couldn't find one child who was proficient in reading? Not one. School choice. There being no air conditioning during the winter, no AC in the summer, no books, violent ass campuses. School choice. There needs to be school choice. If the school we live near is not cutting it, we need to go to another one. Shut that shitty school down or fix it. Parents should have the option to give their child the best education possible.
And that's true. Last statement. Do this for you guys.
Not folks that are conservatives, that are trying to unravel civil liberties and people's rights. In fact, that's why a Supreme Court justice is very important to us, because we know that if activists get hold to the Supreme Court, if activists, social justice warriors take over the country and have power, they will actually get in your personal business and start demanding that you do this, do that, can't say this, can't go this place, can't own this, can't drive this, all of that stuff. And that's why we think it's important to have a particular person appointed to the Supreme Court and not an activist. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So let's see if we can go through some of this and unpack it. Now, other day, President Trump, he heard about the sad news and he was caught off guard, and he has such a wonderful, genuine response, even though the liberal media cannot give it to him. They will not let him appear to be human. They want him to be evil. I guess it was going to put the mic in his face, tell him, man, so I don't care nothing about that old chick. I'm glad she gone. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yeah, I'm about to get 3 Supreme Court justices, bam, in your face, Ruth Bader. But that's not what happened. Let's check it out.
She just died? Wow. I didn't know that. I just, you're telling me now for the first time. She led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman. Whether you agreed or not, she was an amazing woman who led an amazing life. I'm actually sad to hear that. I am sad to hear that. Thank you very much.
Now, did y'all see that?
Oh, that was amazing.
I mean, the background music was not placed in there. It just happened to be playing in the background as he approached that reporter. And I said to myself, it's like the moon and the stars all came together perfectly. I couldn't have wrote that better than, say, a movie script. It was wonderful. But now we get the creepy, sleepy, sloppy, slimy, sleazy Joe and his response. Let's check this out.
For freedom and opportunity for everyone. And, she never failed. She was fierce and unflinching in her pursuit of the civil and legal rights of everyone.
Legal rights.
Her opinions and her dissent are going to continue to shape the basis for a law for generations. And tonight and in the coming days, we should focus on the loss of the justice.
The justice.
I'm a little concerned about Creepy, Sleepy, Sloppy. I mean, that man should know her front to back. I mean, she was a pretty much liberal judge. I mean, she's well known, but Creep, Sleep, Slop, Slime came out with the notes in the hand. I mean, at least Trump went off the top of the dome, even though the lying, crooked, stinking, nasty media would like you to believe he got some type of heads up, prepared a speech. No, his stuff looks sincere, but Creep Sleeps, nah, that dude came out and made it obvious. Notes down saying, RUTH spells Ruth. Ruth was nice lady. She worked somewhere. She did a lot of stuff, and we're gonna miss her. Where does she work at again? Oh, okay. She worked in the juvenile justice department. No, it wasn't. It was Supreme Court. Okay, yeah, we're gonna miss Ann. Ann was really nice. Joe, it's Ruth Bader. Yeah, who's that? Is that my wife? What? She died? No, she didn't die. Well, where's my wife? Right next. That's not my wife. That's my sister. Oh, you're my wife? Okay, well then who's this woman I'm talking about? Oh, okay, yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna miss the justice, y'all. When will they stop pretending? When are they going to really get down to nitty gritty and tell us all what's going on with Creepy, Sleepy, Sloppy Slime before he get embarrassed during the, of course, coming debates? But hey, I'm okay with that because I'm gonna get a great laugh and a lot of material. Now, we see then the difference between these two, but we already know there's a lot of rhetoric going on right now. It's a whole bunch of finger pointing. I guess the Republicans are mean. They're mean because they're gonna continue to go forth with nominating, a Supreme Court justice, and the Democrats don't like that. Now, they're gonna go absolutely crazy. But before we get into my opinion and my take on that, let's start off with the hypocrisy.
But senators, I'm sure you also know there's inconsistency on the part of the Democrats' arguments. Democrats argued 4 years ago that there should be a vote. And I'm going to quote something that you said when you were running against your predecessor, Republican Senator Kelly Ayotte. This is we're going to lift something now from a debate that you had, and here's what you said.
The Constitution of the United States says that the president shall nominate a candidate to be a Supreme Court justice, and that the Senate shall advise and consent. It doesn't say except in election years. It doesn't say except when government is divided. It says that you need to do your job.
So again, that was from a debate when you were seeking to defeat Kelly Ayotte, and you made the argument that there should be a vote in an election year, even no matter what the party difference was.
Y'all hear that? Now, I'm just going to give an analogy, help some people out. We call the Democrats the Demorats oftentimes. And how a rat is occupying either your house or the barn or something like that is because they leave rat droppings. See, when you start seeing those little teeny rat turds, you can best believe they were laid by a rat. These Democrats down throughout history, because they're Demorats, flip-floppers, panders, and the whole gambit, they always leave trails. They always leave rat droppings laying around so we can go and trace it right back to that big old nasty stinking Nicodemus rat called the Demorats. This woman, words come back to bite her, and then check out this next one.
So I want to ask you about what you said in 2016 after Merrick Garland's nomination to the Supreme Court didn't even get a hearing. You said, quote, "The Constitution is clear. The Senate must consider the president's nominee and then choose whether to vote yes or no. We must do our job, hold hearings, and vote." Now, I understand that there's a big difference between a seat opening up in February and a seat opening up 44 days before the presidential election. But you weren't talking about timelines there. You were talking about the Constitution. If the Constitution was clear then, is it still clear now?
We are in modern history.
Did y'all hear that? She had to take the big deep breath. See, that was enough to give her a little time to come out and come up with some fake, phony bootleg excuse why things are different now. You know, I'm sure as Jake Tapper was reading that, she was going, oh, dang it, Jake, you would do this to me. I thought we was paying y'all good money to run cover for us. You know what? We're going to have to cut your check in half. So here we go, brain, work with me. Well, you know, Jake, we've come, so it's 2020 and y'all what happened. And then that one time, I wasn't really talking about that. Hypocrites. But now let's move on. See, because we got the #1 sleep slime slop coming up to explain why none of this should go down. Let's listen to creepy, sleepy, slimy, sloppy, sleazy Joe's, I guess, speech on why we shouldn't pick a Supreme Court justice. Let's check this one out. Should be good.
So I asked Biden a hypothetical question. If he's elected president and Democrats gain control of the Senate, would he consider the Supreme Court?
It's a legitimate question, but let me tell you, I'm not going to answer that question.
Why?
Because it will shift the whole focus. That's what he wants. He never wants to talk about the issue at hand. He always tries to change the subject. But let's say I answered that question. Then the whole debate's going to be, well, Biden said or didn't say. Biden said he would or wouldn't.
You see this look on my face? That's the look of I smell doo-doo, and you're trying to tell me it's chocolate. My nostrils know doo-doo when I smell doo-doo. This man, the reason I didn't make a Supreme Court justice pick, because then Donald just changed the subject. He's always trying to change the subject. As if he's working for Donald Trump or working against Donald Trump instead of working for the American people, instead of trying to win our vote by telling us, you know what, if I win, I won't pick some crazy bootleg activist like Stacey Abrams or somebody to join the Supreme Court. We already know what she's about. This woman's nuts. You know what? I won. I don't care what they say. I'm the winner anyway. She's nuts. But he won't say who he'll pick because he knows that that right there is going to put him behind the 8 ball. Folks are looking at this situation going, we need to know that information. Don't try to blame it on Trump trying to change the discussion. This happened. Nobody made Ruth die. That was just straight up God in his business, along with maybe a blessing in disguise for all of us. But anyway, nonetheless, this man is trying to pass it off. Now, we all know the creepy, sleepy, sloppy, slimy didn't pick nobody because he can't. He didn't even know Ruth Bader, the justice. And I'm sure after she passed, he went in like, well, do we have a backup? You guys come up with anybody? They're like, we'll get on it, Joe. Yeah, because I don't know anybody. See, so that's what's really going on. And he's trying to downplay it as if the American people don't want to know about this. That is very important, Joe. Now let's move on, because now here's Joe giving a more formal red, response. Let's check out this for more laughs.
This vote, this fight, this nomination will not be over until the Senate votes. If it does vote, winning that vote, if it happens, is everything. Action and reaction, anger and more anger, sorrow and frustration at the way things are in this country now politically. That's the cycle that Republican senators will continue to perpetuate if they go down this dangerous path that they put us on. We need to de-escalate, not escalate. So I appeal to those few Senate Republicans, the handful who really will decide what happens. Please follow your conscience. Don't vote to confirm anyone nominated under the circumstances President Trump and Senator McConnell have created.
Now, did y'all hear that crap? I wonder who wrote that one for him. Oh, man. You know what? I might have to go back and hear that opening one more time because it was hilarious. Let's check that out.
This vote, this fight.
Y'all hear that? This fight. Oh, wait. Can I start that up? Oh, we're live? Okay. So this fight, he goes in talking about, how we should not act hastily, how we shouldn't be ready to nominate a new Supreme Court justice quickly under the circumstances that Donald Trump and I guess Mitch McConnell has created. And I'm thinking, what circumstances would that be? See, it's always funny how the Democrats prey upon sorry Republicans because of either their conscience or perhaps they're really rhinos in disguise. But they always try to appeal to those weak, low-hanging fruit Republicans that might sway anyway, or scared to speak their mind, or to look like they might be tough, because that's what it comes down to. See, some of these Republicans just aren't tough enough. They don't want to live with the badgering that comes from the left. But if you don't make a choice, the left will always badger you. They will never be appeased. You cannot satisfy them by saying, all right, we don't want to stir up more tension, so we're not going to vote for a nominee. Please, do you think if Crying Chuck and Nasty Nancy got that opportunity, they would stop and consider the Republicans? You think that? No, they would ride over us and give us the double tap, boop, boop, and keep it moving and say, do you feel something? Because I didn't feel nothing, man. That's what would happen. And so now they asking for mercy, talking about, let me appeal to the Republicans that have a heart. No, you know why we don't have a heart? Because y'all haven't had a heart since the party was started. But nonetheless, the last 4 years, they have made life for Trump, conservatives, businesses, America, all miserable. And yet here it is, dude, talking about the conditions that Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell created. No, those conditions are with you and the slimy, sleazy liberal media created. Y'all are the ones that's telling y'all folks to go out and riot and tear up stuff. And if you see anybody in a restaurant or a movie theater, go up and harass them. Don't let all of that stuff. Right. Nobody's doing that but y'all. Y'all are the ones that get on TV all the time, calling everybody a racist, sexist, xenophobe, Hitler, Mussolini, you name it. The division and the conditions of America have been pumped into our society these last, I would even give it 8 years. Well, let's go back 12 with Obama, all the way up to now. All of this stuff been done by the Democrats. And now they want mercy. Man, why y'all got to pick them and want to cut a deal, y'all? Maybe we could work it out where if y'all give, no, because we don't negotiate with terrorists. We don't trust nothing that y'all say. Now let's move on, because see, he kind of pivoted and he got to try to get back on track, because see, they had a plan. They were just going to ride it all the way out to the end, focusing on COVID and, Donald Trump killed 1 zillion people and all of that stuff. But now, because Ruth Bader died, they got to really talk about another issue, and he don't like that. So he's going to try to pivot back to COVID, and let's see what happened when this roller coaster jumps the tracks.
And perhaps most cruelly of all, if Donald Trump has his way, the complications from COVID-19, which are well beyond what they should be. It's estimated that 200 million people have died, probably by the time I finish this talk.
That right there was pitiful. Somebody should have ran out there and pulled the plug on the camera or the mic, something, maybe tackle creepy, sleepy, sloppy, slimy before he let those words come out. This man talks about if Donald Trump has his way, now understand what he just said. He said, if Donald Trump has his way, many more people will die or would have died if Donald Trump had his way, I guess, and more than should have died. Now, first of all, how many should have died? He doesn't know that number. See, when Democrats make inflammatory comments like that, they never know the actual numbers. They just say stuff. Yeah, people are going to die and all of this stuff. Yeah, tell me about climate change and those 200 fires that started. And tell me, how did Donald Trump or climate change start those fires? Now, there you go again, asking questions, colored guy. I can't call him that. Oh, person of color guy. That's okay, right? All right. There we go. Now, we want you to get back in line. The rest of your people, they love us. They love us. And here you are getting unruly. In chains. Okay? Because you know what? We're going to put you back in chains.
There you go.
I can't say that anymore. Okay. All right, let's keep going.
There you go.
This guy comes out talking about all the deaths if Donald Trump had his way. Now, to the unlearned, to the bubbleheads, they're thinking, Well, man, yeah, Trump's purposely killing folks. He's going, y'all, give me my way so I can kill a whole bunch more folks. That's the first flaw in that statement. The second flaw is it's obvious that something is going on with Joe's mind because this dude has problems with numbers. He's making numbers up every single time he grabs the mic. 200 zillion, kabillion, zillion, zebra, trillion. Is that a number? No? Okay. Anyway, somewhere around there. Anyway, this guy just straight said that 200 million folks will die before he ends that statement. Man, that's almost as bad as half the country being killed by gunfire too. Remember he said that one? Yeah. He's always throwing out numbers, always throwing them out. No correction. You didn't even see it in his eyes where you notice like, oh crap, I just said something stupid. Note to self, let's go back, correct that. No, he blew straight through that statement thinking he was dead right. And that's a problem. Now let's continue with this garbage.
I need you to be ready. I need you to be
ready.
And I need you to be ready to be responsive.
Ready.
And by that, I mean, we don't quite know what the next play is in terms of this issue on the Supreme Court, right? Mitch McConnell sent out a statement tonight. And as I said at the opening, the very last dying wish of RBG was that her vacancy not be filled until the new president takes office in January. That was her dying wish.
Tough.
Tonight, Mitch McConnell,
she doesn't make that
publicly,
determination.
Thank you.
The night of her passing, he couldn't wait 24 hours. Issued a statement saying that he was going to give Trump a vote in violation of her dying wish.
AOC want us to honor RV these dying wish, and we don't care. I'm sorry, y'all. AOC, listen for a minute. Why do I need a tissue? I ain't got the issue. Here's a tissue for her issue. Now, let's get down to what this woman just talked about. Manipulation, holding someone hostage, making someone feel guilty, and trying to shame them into doing what you want them to do. Now, you know what manipulation is. Witchcraft. That's what they're trying to do, y'all. They're trying to put the mojo on us. I'm surprised she don't have a voodoo doll in her purse looking like Trump, poking it with needles. How you gonna try to bring up Ruth Bader, her last dying wish? Now, I'm a little concerned. I would hate to think that someone would lie about that, but I'm just thinking about me. If I'm on my dying deathbed, I don't know what condition she was in. I don't even know if she was conscious enough to say that. Usually by the time you're ready to pass away, you're not talking. They're making it seem like this is something comes straight out of a movie where you're looking up and like, last thing, don't let Trump replace me and pass away. I don't know. I've seen a lot of people die. They were not sitting up talking, murmuring, or anything like that, right before they passed away. And even if they were, last thing on your mind probably won't be, just don't let Trump replace me. For the simple fact, we have overwhelming evidence of her talking about how things should work, even though the Democrats have come up with the new rule. The Democrats, if someone that is affectionately loved by many have a dying wish, that must be honored, period. Forget the Constitution, forget the law, all of that stuff. There's a lot of mothers out there whose sons are in jail, prison. My baby shot up about 20 people and he got life, and I'm about to die, but my dying wish is to let my son go free. Right. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Your son did the crime and he must do the time. I have no sympathy for these folks. AOC went down to the border lying about the border patrol, the kids, all of that stuff. This woman has been wreaking havoc throughout the whole Congress, her and her crew, along with the rest of the Democrats. But she is at the very top of that list for that four. And yet here she are talking about her dying wish. Do you have that on tape? I might need some proof. I want to hear her say that before she passed away, because I think that probably didn't happen. But because they're Democrats and they don't care, they will use any form of manipulation. Now she wants to throw that out there and guilt and shame folks into saying, well, we can't just disobey her dying wish. There's no law that says we have to. Let's listen to Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself address that. Now, understand, these wily and clever and deceitful Democrats are telling us that we should honor her dying wish. But yet, when she says things like, don't stack the courts, I think 9 is a good number, and they're all talking about stacking it. They're not honoring her actual statement that we all heard with our own ears, or even this particular statement right here.
Hello, my name is Sarah Berkey, and I was wondering if you thought there were any valid constitutional arguments that would prevent President Obama from filling Justice Scalia's seat on the Supreme Court.
You know, the president has the authority to name appointees to the Supreme Court, but he has to do so with the advice and consent of the Senate. And if the Senate doesn't act, as its current Senate is not acting, what can be done about it?
No.
And it's not even if you could conceive of a testing lawsuit, what would the response be? Well, you want us to vote, so we'll vote no. But I do think that cooler heads will prevail. I hope sooner rather than later. The president is elected for 4 years, not 3 years, so the power that he has in year 3 continues into year 4, and maybe some members of the Senate will wake up and appreciate that's how it should be.
Now, did y'all hear that? Came from RGB herself. She hit us with the look here, man. This is how things should go. Period. She didn't say, well, there's an exception to the rule when, a Supreme Court justice is dying, that you honor their dying wish, regardless of what it is. No one has ever come up with that. Only the Democrats. They are very desperate. And it's getting to the point where they're talking about any means necessary. Darn AOC was talking about this is the time to get real radical. What does that mean? Could you go ahead and break that statement down? Remember, whenever Trump says anything, these are dog whistles. Dog whistles. I heard a dog whistle that time. When she said it's time to get real radical, that's a dog whistle to all of those Antifa protesters, all of those Black Lives Matter protesters, to handle things the way we've been doing it for the last 4 years, by doing it with violence, force, antagonizing people and showing up at their crib and acting a complete fool. But no.
And that's where I got to stop and continue with Louder with Crowder. Appreciate everybody for joining. Like, follow, share, and subscribe to this channel. Get into this. Say it louder. What's crap?
It's Thursday. That's a stressful sip.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's a stressful sip because for people, sorry that we started late. We are still locked out of Facebook. It can't stream there, so let everyone on Facebook know. And YouTube wasn't working, but we got you. That's why we have Mug Club. We're always able to stream at Mug Club. If one of the streams in the future does not work, louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. Also, Governor Whitmer, we're coming for you.
Uh-oh.
We're coming for you October 2nd. We're going to be in the backyard. Technically, it's my backyard. You're just visiting. Yeah. My half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond, is here. Speaking of which, foreshadowing. Quarterback Garrett, how are you?
Good morning. What's going on?
Didn't have a heart attack there with the Facebook?
A little bit. I think you did, yeah. 3 or 4 at least.
That's very urban of you. Audio Wade, Gerald A. Listen, no secret here what we'll be talking about. We'll be talking about what's going on in Kentucky.
That's not good.
I would like to say that it's out of the norm nowadays, folks, but let's be honest. And then we'll also be talking about Donald Trump, how he will not peaceably transfer power is what the media is saying. So don't want to give it that much credence because, It's total bullshit. And I have a question for you before we get to all of that is, have you noticed now that almost every single time, almost every single time, the story that we get from the media on these Black Lives Matter, the police shootings are verifiably false.
Yeah.
Just like you know what the parallel? Every scandal with Donald Trump. Russia.
Verifiably
rape,
false.
Also false. Prostitutes. Yeah. All of it.
Exactly. And the news media never covers the correct version.
Right.
Very well.
Yeah, they like to cover the version that they want that will help with their talking points.
Yes.
Yeah.
Still no mention of Hunter Biden, by the way. On CNN.
Oh,
I've been watching.
really?
Have not mentioned it. Apparently, it's not a big deal to use the wife of the mayor of Moscow's $3.5 million for sex slaves. Tomato, money taken too. Yeah. Before we move on, let's look at CNN, what they're saying about Breonna Taylor in Kentucky.
I love Louisville, Kentucky. I gave birth to my 2 children here. I may die here. But you know what? I have found the thing that I am willing to die.
Is she wearing chains?
Yes.
Yeah. She wearing chains?
Yes, now.
Is this really what we're doing now? Wearing
Really?
chains? Oh, can you believe this is getting Carrot Top level. If Carrot Top didn't understand the subject that he was covering. Okay, let's get to Breonna Taylor and why about everything you know is wrong. Let me be clear here. I would consider this a tragedy because all around, I wish that this hadn't happened. Breonna Taylor should not have been shot. Absolutely not.
Right.
Okay. They shouldn't have been shooting through doors. There was confusion, but anyone who assumes that this is because of racism is an idiot. All right. Anyone who believes that Breonna Taylor was sleeping in her bed, no. That the police came with a no-knock warrant, no. And that they initiated the opening fire, no. What happened was they knocked, announced themselves, said, "Hey, police, guy was shooting. They tried to break through the door. Return fire. Breonna Taylor died." We'll get into the specifics, but anyone who thinks that this tragedy is due to racism, it's blind fire.
It's impossible to be racist at that point.
So of course there have been protests. I'm not going to say protests. I'm going to say riots.
Riots.
Right.
That's what it was.
Thank you.
Riots.
You used to get on to me for that.
This lady knows with her Ghost Rider chain whip.
She took the chains off for this interview, though. It's good.
Put y'all back in chains.
They charged one of the officers, right? One of the 3 officers involved. They charged him with wanton endangerment because he fired his weapon and it put people at risk. And they're saying, well, why didn't they just charge him for murdering Breonna Taylor? Well, because here's the thing. They had a warrant for Breonna Taylor's apartment or her townhouse apartment condo. I'm not entirely sure. Don't fact check me on that. I believe it was an apartment.
Her domicile.
I don't know if it was a sublet.
Could have been. You never know.
I would argue it's irrelevant.
It might actually be irrelevant.
Erroneous, to use my half Chinaman's lawyer term. So wanton endangerment is the charge, which, by the way, I've never heard of wanton endangerment used outside of wanton endangerment or wanton disregard. It's not a word outside of those legal colloquials.
No, I did have to clarify with Gerald. He thought we were talking about wontons and that's just because he's racist.
That is true.
Look, it was an honest mistake.
He's tall, white, and blonde. My brother was grounded because he refused to eat wonton soup as a kid one time.
Really? Was it a principled stand?
Mall, no, at the Westview Mall food court, he demanded to eat wonton soup because he had a friend who ate wonton soup, and they said, "Jordan, we know that you don't like it." He said, "No, I want it." They said, "If you don't eat it, we're going to ground you, and you won't be able to see All I Want for Christmas," which had the little drummer from That Thing You Do and Leslie Nielsen.
No.
He said, "No, I get." And then guess what? He missed out on a cinematic masterpiece.
He's been ruminating.
Hand to God, true story. Cross my heart and hope to die. So this is what happened. But then there were, of course, these riots. Here's a montage to start you off and wet the palate.
No!
That's a man protecting his shop.
That white man protecting his shop.
Looks like a man of color. A drive-through? What is this?
Oh, assault in the car, swarming it.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, surprise and alarm!
That's a courthouse.
Yeah.
Oh, you can tell by the architecture. Yeah.
The guy said burn it down. Well, he's just imitating Don Lemon.
Hey, Chaz. I've been there.
Look at this. Look at this. That's attempted murder.
Yep.
That's attempted murder.
That's a weapon. That's a weapon.
And so is this next one. As far as I'm concerned, this is attempted murder.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
There's like 10, 15 people right around that area.
walking up and hitting an officer in the back of the head with a baseball bat and throwing a Molotov cocktail. Keep in mind, there was no building he could have reached with his pussy arm. So we know he was aiming for people.
Absolutely.
Also because he announced it. So you throw effectively homemade napalm, which is what you're trying to do, though you probably failed. Get some Mohawk. Get some Everclear. Tito's won't cut it. Throwing that into a crowd of people and hitting someone on the back of the head as hard as you can with a baseball bat, as far as I'm concerned, have we reached the level, especially when happening to cops, attempted murder? These people need to be locked up for a very long time. Not saying that's the exact law, you can clarify, but that's what I would like to see if you hit an officer in the back of a head with a baseball bat, back of the head.
Yeah.
Could be a two-headed officer.
You're going to get fact check on that.
The Medusa officer is
rare.
It's on
Very
leave.
rare.
On paid leave, which is also a problem. Too many people turn to stone, but paid leave. Can that be qualified as attempted murder, hitting someone in the back of the head as hard as you can?
Oh, no doubt. So it's a combination of both the action that they're doing, but also the thing that they're using. So if you swung a pool noodle, okay, you're not going to get attempted murder. You swing an aluminum Louisville Slugger, yeah, absolutely.
Wait, I thought a Louisville Slugger had to be wooden.
Man, I don't know. Do I look like I play
it's a
baseball?
brand. It's just a brand. They can do it. You know, by the way, hold on. You know what the cops, the crime was there? It looks like he had fallen off of his bicycle because he hit like a little barrier.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was fighting with protesters. It didn't look like initially from what we saw. So he fell down and like, someone fell down.
Well, notice how he reacted to being almost decapitated.
Right.
He pulled out his gun and shot everyone. He pulled out his pepper spray and ran for his life. Right.
Yeah.
That's
which they also want to ban, by the way,
of police brutality, right? This is a department that's clearly racist to the core and deserving of burning an entire city.
Well, that's the hallmark of the KKK is they walk back while using a defensive weapon like pepper spray. You ever see when Robert Byrd did his cross, but he wouldn't go so much burn across as he would knock ding dong ditch and run back with bear mace.
No wonder they were.
People don't know their history because you all got fooled watching Roots. So
unaware.
All of this, and I want to go to your point here. Again, 2 officers were shot in Louisville. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
This is going to be the last week that we are selling these shirts at the loudercuttershop.com for David Dorn. It is open season on officers. LeBron James, the spineless, I don't want to use the word again, spineless vagina, who said he had no comment on the Los Angeles deputy ambush. Really?
Yeah.
You have comment on how about a comment on Jacob Blake's rape? How about a comment on any of these crimes and felonies? How about a comment on any of these acts of wanton disregard for the safety or lives of police officers out there? And I'll talk about this more later. Oh, Mike, we don't cover enough. I feel so bad for black police officers. Yeah. And you see them in all of these videos, by the way. They are completely forgotten. They are the most useless pawn for the media right now, so they give them no airtime. What must it be like right now? I remember during the Detroit riots, my dad had a friend who was a police officer. They had friends who were black police officers during the riots. They had to go home in unmarked vehicles. I can only imagine what's happening now. Well, guess what? Some people do appreciate you. Your service is not completely unappreciated just by pricks like Don Lemon who talk about burning it down. See, we can bridge the racial divide, and he can attempt to bridge the sexuality divide. I have no idea.
Whatever divide he wants.
He'll be about as successful as his show despite being in prime time. This is the story that we were given, okay? A no-knock warrant. This is why we have the riots. A no-knock warrant was issued. Cops showed up, didn't knock, didn't avail their identity at all. Didn't even tell. Basically snuck in like they were the police bandits. All the greats leave their calling card.
They do.
No-knock warrant. That there were no drugs in the home, that Breonna Taylor had nothing to do with drugs, and that the cops randomly shot a black woman sleeping in effectively a sleeping bag. She was having a sleepover. That's how it was presented. Now, let me break it down for you. It wasn't a no-knock warrant. Okay. She wasn't sleeping, and the current boyfriend in the home with Breonna Taylor shot first. Okay. So they want you to think that it was a slumber party with just an officer coming in like commando, when really it was more like this.
Who's there?
It's the police, ma'am. We've got a warrant.
I don't know any Warren.
No, we have a warrant.
Warrant who?
No, ma'am. We're the police, and we have a warrant.
And Warren always gets the short end of the stick.
Yeah, wow. Poor guy.
Well, and you had to say, and then I want to give some details. I wanted to summarize that for you so you know that everything is wrong, and then I'll explain to you why, in case you think I'm like the Young Turks or Don Lemon, where I don't provide any sources. I've brought receipts.
Bill, I'm wondering why the anger is directed at the police right now. I understand about the actual event that happened, right? But when you take charges to a grand jury and the grand jury comes back and says there's no evidence, shouldn't they be pissed at the people in the city, basically, that said, hey, we looked at all the evidence and we can't bring any charges. And by the way, we looked at all the evidence with no defense, basically, for anybody on the police force, only the evidence against them, essentially. And we said that there wasn't enough to charge him. Is that pretty much what happened?
Well, yeah. And when you look at any of these grand juries, look, no one on either side is going to say the grand juries always get it right or that they always get it wrong, but they get it right virtually almost all the time. I mean, the standards are very low. It's pretty easy to be able to go through if you have the evidence, right? To be able to say this is just to charge the people, right? But they went through the process, they examined the evidence, but all of the facts we have show it's the same. It's not that the officers shot first. The officers there was a shot fired first at them, then they fired back. An
officer was struck in the leg by that shot.
Oh yeah, I hate to even mention those, but the Young Turks are talking about the people there were not. Well, they shot at cops. One of them was hurt in the leg. Oh, you go get shot from a rotary and tell me how it feels.
Well, normally what I think when I get shot in the leg is, oh, this guy's done. We had Chris Kyle over here just aimed it right at, got me right in the femoral. No big deal. Right. Let's everyone just like shake hands at this point, which completely ignores the danger that officers face at every given moment. I mean, there's just a complete denial of reality of the dangers of being an officer and how they put their lives on the line every single time, whether it was David Dorn, both before and after he was a cop, and the cops every single day. Yeah. But ultimately, when you look at what happened in this particular situation, no one denies that if you're in the dark and you're firing shots, maybe we can be critical if they didn't say it loud enough, or if it turns out it's true they didn't say anything, but there's no evidence to that.
Well, one thing I want to be clear about: the boyfriend did say that they knocked.
Yeah,
the boyfriend said that they knocked. He said, "I don't." He said that he didn't hear them saying that they were police. Right. Now the official order was changed for the warrant. I want to be clear because we even covered this story where we said the police claimed that they stated who they were. Right. No, the order was changed from a no-knock warrant before they went out. And the boyfriend has already said they did knock on the door. And we now know that Breonna Taylor was not asleep. They were both awake and alert in the hallway. So the only argument, and it's my word versus theirs, an official order that wasn't a no-knock warrant, is did they say policeman? Did they say that? That's the only fact that's in question at this point. I want to be clear about that. Right.
And so when we look at the charges themselves, look, every person who owns a gun, even police officers themselves are going to say, yes, there's no question that there's adrenaline, no question that you're going to, fire your weapon. And, there's no rule about how many times you fire shots. They always want to talk about how many times they were firing. Well, you fire when you perceive the danger and you continue to fire until it appears that the danger is no longer there. And the fact that they took the ability to look at the different officers, it wasn't even the officer who got charged with the wanton endangerment. He wasn't even the one that shot the most. Right. No. One of the other ones shot significantly more bullets, but it was how he did it and why he did it. So the fact that they said, again, it's not to say
he's trying to shoot COVID off the lawn. To be fair, and they were like, well, that's inappropriate. And he's like, one for you. All right.
It's a legitimate concern, but this is actually an example of how the system does work. This is when you're analyzing the actual facts as opposed to the feelings, and saying, okay, it is a tragedy. Look what the AG said. He goes, it's a tragedy that she died. There's no doubt about it. But that doesn't mean we compound that with additional tragedies of law by charging people that.
Well, we've already compounded it with additional tragedies from the media. So like I said, this is an example of the law working. It doesn't always work, but in this case, more truth has come to light. We waited for facts, but it shows us that the media is not working, that is a broken system because look right now, they don't care. Well, they're back to COVID for a little bit. They still haven't talked about Hunter Biden. They don't care what the 200 million. They don't cover that it's a hate crime hoax, whether it's Smollett or Bubba Watkins or Poop Swastika or the Duke lacrosse team or Mattress Girl. They just cover the initial lie. Today, they're going to double down on the lie, let the riots burn for a little bit, have some Democrats on there talking about how they have how they're empathetic, and then they will move on their merry way because there's no accountability. But as it relates to the law, also, Mrs. RBG, I believe you have a beach party at your beach house this weekend.
Yes, I just signed a new lease on a
a wonderful beach house down,
I'm
down by
surprised.
the water there.
Well, you know what? In this
Weird.
market, you
Yeah.
should buy. It's a
Yeah,
buyer's market.
lease is not the way to go.
Let me get to a couple of facts here. That it wasn't a no-knock warrant. I just was really clear about that. I think we have an overlay for that. It changed. The official order changed.
New York Times.
Okay. Police served a warrant at the residence of Breonna Taylor. It's a little bit confusing. I don't want to get too nerdy. There was a drug dealer across town. They also had a warrant. That person has been brought up on charges. He hasn't been convicted yet, as far as I know. But if he gets off without being convicted, I will eat my hat. I will find a hat. I don't wear hats, and I'll eat it.
Eat it.
Promise you on air.
Okay.
If the guy
All
gets
right.
off with no charges, I'll eat my hat. That
Eat
was
a hat.
Walker. Now, the boyfriend was a man named Jamarcus Glover. He is also a convicted drug trafficker. Okay. Breonna Taylor had packages sent to her residence that was being picked up by this other drug. That's why they had two concurrent, right? Concurrent. You could use both. wanton concurrent warrants for that house and for Breonna Taylor's house. Here's something a lot of people don't know. Breonna Taylor had a dead body in her rental car in 2016.
Well,
that has a whole lot to do with this.
Sorry,
but again,
what?
it's like that's a weird thing.
That is a very weird
Was
thing
it
to have.
RBG?
No, I would have been back then. No, that's still would have been. She's still alive. It's a hoax. But she had a dead body in a rental car.
That's crazy.
And again, do you think the cops know that?
Yeah, I rented it this way.
I don't know about you, but if I knew I was going to, well, I'd go, all right, what's this warrant for? Okay, they got the other drug dealer across town, right? He has a violent history and dead body in a Kia. So what is this? Who does that?
Yeah,
I need some context on this.
that?
Oh yikes!
Well, she get her and she got her cleaning deposit back.
Oh, you can't get it back for that. That trunk is a two-body trunk.
Does that go in the car?
She absolutely did because Avis didn't want to riot.
Yeah. Do you have to disclose that on the form? Like, I have a ding on the left fender, dead body in the trunk. That was already there, man. You're good on that.
Have you had any
Body
pets
in
or
the
smoke
trunk.
in the vehicle?
Mm.
No, not anything else we should know about.
We in the glass.
Rotting corpse. I don't know how long.
Not sure how it got
There's a
there.
scratch on the backup
tried
camera.
to move it out, but when I
God.
reached in, my hand penetrated through the carcass because it had been sitting in on the dashboard in the hot sun for a long time. So hopefully you guys have something like a spray. All right,
Yeah,
thanks.
that'd work.
Get that little pine tree hanging from the mirror.
that new car
You'll be
smell.
aces. All right.
Delicious.
Originally it was a no-knock warrant. That changed. Okay. This is important because we need to know, too, that the police had to announce themselves legally. They claim they did announce themselves.
Yep.
The boyfriend said, yep, they did knock, but I don't know that if they announced themselves.
There's a witness that said that.
Breonna Taylor was not asleep. Okay. She and her boyfriend, both again in the hallway as she was shot amidst the return fire. There was crossfire going on. That matters because simply walking in and shooting someone you identify is an execution. Shots
Very
going
different.
both ways where both people are shot is not the same thing. That's not the same as a hate crime. Certainly not the same as a public lynching. The ex-boyfriend Glover has since, sorry, not the ex-boyfriend. I think this is the drug trafficker has been arrested on charges. The boyfriend has a previous history of drug trafficking, though we don't think he had any drug trafficking here right now. I also have some questions. Wasn't able to find out based on his previous criminal history how he had a gun. I don't fully understand. It depends from state to state. You can't get answers because the media doesn't do it. Do you have any idea how many petition for information we have to sign at a fucking comedy show? This is ridiculous. You know, with Michigan, for Christ, it's all the time.
Yeah.
I'm going like, does anyone know this?
not
And people just go,
necessarily
no. They're like, oh, let me search. It's nowhere.
Right.
I have to go through a government portal to ask for it. I have to see what I have a fake Ring doorbell sketch of the police and RBG in a Weekend at Bernie's shirt. And I'm doing Brian Stelter's job still straight.
We're asking a lot of you, Stephen. We definitely understand
This is
that.
Stephen's message telling me to go work on the FOIA request.
That's right. He has to go.
He does have to go work.
My half-Asian lawyer has to go here today because we
you do
got
keep him
started
busy
late.
with legal things. You know what I mean?
All right.
Well,
so-
look, in this case, they laid it out very, very clearly. AG did a fantastic job saying, look, here's exactly what happened. The officer was shot. They returned fire. The ballistics confirmed that the officer that shot Breonna Taylor, who was standing right next to the person, not in another room, randomly getting shot. This is all that happened. And when they served the warrant, like you said, it wasn't a no-knock anymore. They have a witness that said they announced themselves as police. That's what they went off of. And also the guy who had lived there prior listed it as his place of residence. That's why they were there in the first place. It wasn't because of Breonna Taylor. It was because of her ex-boyfriend. He had listed it as, I live here in January. And in February, they went there.
You list different residences, like when I did with the Pauly Shore Criterion DVD collection. I don't want that posted to my address.
You don't. Usually a P.O. box works well, though.
I use John Malloy's name, and he lives in an apartment, so he has to sign for it, and it's very embarrassing.
No.
Oh, great. Encino Man.
Yes. It's a classic. Biodome.
Again.
I'm noticing a trend here. No. It's just underage pornography.
In the Army now. There you go.
So this is also, by the way, I forgot. Follow me on Instagram, where we do a lot of stuff today. It doesn't have anything to do with news. It's just, I guess they call lifestyle. You know, you might see me in some panties selling some tea.
Oh my goodness!
Wow, they're Ranger panties though.
I use a strainer. And here's something interesting. As soon as the Louisville protesters they started marching, and then I have some more info that will pique your interest. A U-Haul pulled up, and it wasn't even the big U-Haul.
Yeah.
And you know they have the money. I'll get to that in a second. Yeah. A small U-Haul pulled up with a bunch of supplies, including riot shields, signs, which then just so happened to be strategically placed at the front of every single CNN correspondent. But here's the video of the truck, and then there's a real surprise twist.
They're designed to look homemade.
By the way, don't you love that? The guy goes, help me with this. And the white guy's like, well, I have to.
I can't deny. Well, yes, Masser.
Masser. It's Masser.
Abolition now.
Yeah, I love the creative choices that they made to make it seem like it didn't come off a production line, but it was homemade.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Grab my 6-year-old, have her fling some Crayola on there. People will buy it, right? Well, the lady who was handing it out, we don't know this for sure, but it's been confirmed by several different sources. And if I'm wrong on this, I won't eat my hat, but I'll make Gerald eat a hat.
Oh, wow.
She's been ID'd as Holly Zoller, and she's a member of the, I know this might be banned, the George Soros linked Bail Fund Project. That was the top Twitter trend yesterday. We'll be talking about Biden in a bit, by the way. Biden moment.
It's rubbing off on
one of the top Twitter trends. How can I not say
it's hard? It's hard.
I'm angry about all of the things.
Your blood pressure right now is probably a little high. It makes it hard.
Where they bail out felons who commit crimes that night, riot and protest. It's like a revolving door. It's like the revolving door in Elf, only they're committing rape and arson. Just rape, arson, baseball bat, and mace. That's what they're doing.
Not near
and
as
people
funny.
like this bail them out. It was the top trend on Twitter yesterday. We have to bail these people out. And we know that these celebrities and politicians have bailed out people who've gone on to commit murders and other
Millions
felonies
of
and rapes.
spent.
So good on you.
Yeah.
Thanks for making those in the black community more safe. Seems that you didn't heed the words of Tupac. Tupac actually talked about this, despite the fact that he was a drama geek, wasn't really a gangster. He talked about, hey, you think only white people care about the violence in your communities? We have to live next door to it. Of course we want someone to do something about it, but the police aren't showing up in our neighborhood. That used to be the complaint. The police aren't showing up to help us. The police response time in this neighborhood is really rough. Why don't we get the same kind of help that white people get? That's what Tupac talked about. That's what a lot of these people talked about. A lot of civil rights activists were complaining about, and it was a legitimate grievance. Now they're saying, hey, we want the ability to harm all other members of our community without the police officers showing up. If I commit forced sodomy, I would like to see a social working counselor, please.
It's like an Antifa fantasy league where they just like bail people out to get them back on the streets. Let's get some more carnage going for this guy. He rioted really well last night. We need to get him back in the game.
Antifa fantasy league, my first pick is Rosenbaum serial child rapist. I know that that's the number one draft pick. Antifa. Good for you. Good for you. I cannot throw not even a stone.
He's up for injury, though.
Throw a feather. I can't blow a feather without hitting a serial rapist at any of these protesters.
I can't blow COVID at you.
It's not possible. It's not possible. I can't breathe droplets without hitting somebody who hasn't committed a violent crime. On the flip side, where I live, where I go to eat, where I hang out, where I go to see movies, where I work, I could throw a boomerang and I would hit nothing but law-abiding citizens.
Yeah, they're breaking these windows to cover up for their filthy consciences.
Yes.
It's a coincidence. It's a good person now.
Well, they were high on PCP and it was mistaken for a confession booth. Oh. You mean the front of the Levi's store is not where I go to reach final absolution? My bad. I will take all the size 34, 36s though, and that's just because I am doing it for Jesus.
I see the deal. I can't not take it.
All right. Hit the notification bell, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube. Sorry about starting late today. Facebook locked us out. We couldn't stream there, and YouTube was kind of half working.
guess it only.
What are your
always
thoughts
half
there? Because you
works.
kept jumping in there.
I mean, stuff like this always frustrates me. It's not that, like you said, initially the reports coming out, we should always wait. We've said that from day one, based on the evidence that we have. And it's not that they just get that wrong. That's bad enough. They don't correct the record. They continue with stuff. They continue with headlines that say no charges in the case for Breonna Taylor.
Red and your so-called red and blue states.
Can you just keep hitting play?
Will you commit to making sure that there is a peace?
Is there any way we can just bring it up there on the computer image?
Yeah, try to pull it up that way.
Try to pull it up that way. So this is, well, I guess I'll just have to go in reverse order. So do we know if the other clips are working there, Quarterback Garrett?
At this point, I don't know.
Is this because...
Give it a shot. Here we go.
Okay, is this the first clip?
First clip.
Okay.
There has been rioting in Louisville. There's been rioting in many cities across this country. Red and your so-called red and blue states. Will you commit to making sure that there is a peaceful transferal of power after the election?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens. You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster.
I understand that, but people are rioting. Do you commit to making sure that there's a peaceful transferal of power?
From what side? Get rid of the ballots, and you'll have a we'll have a very peaceful. There won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a continuation. The ballots are out of control. You know it. And you know who knows it better than anybody else? The Democrats know it better than anybody else. Go ahead.
Yeah. So let's talk about peaceful transfer. This is the scenario where we are. The left, and I don't want to be hyperbolic. They are professional hostage takers right now. They have said that Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances whatsoever. Hey, what's going to happen if you exercise your constitutional right, which is entirely congruent, not concurrent, congruent with precedent. All right, Donald Trump, and appoint a Supreme Court nominee. We'll impeach you. They're talking about it with all morning John King and Mr. Toupee. Let's see what they have to say at CNN. Let's see if they're being accurate.
Standing at that lectern, the podium in the White House briefing room, saying, I may not honor the results of the count that begins 40 nights from now was stunning.
Did he say I won't honor?
He didn't say that.
He said
at all.
Very important. I didn't hear that. Let's see the talking Toupee with teeth.
Trying to discredit lawful ways of voting because he is losing with the FDA remarks yesterday, which are really part of a broad range of actions the president's taking that challenge the integrity of the government as he tries to bend
so you mean challenging the integrity of the government, like not allowing people to vote, trying to ban people from voting the way that they voted since the beginning of ever? Do you mean trying to instill doubt in our electoral institutions, like saying we need to do away with the Electoral College? This has been spoken about from top Democratic officials, as well as our favorite socialists in chief, many of them, or saying we need to burn the whole system down. Don Lemon, who, let's be honest, as a donor there, or at least a pool boy. Or are we talking about the areas where they said, well, you know what, we should not, Joe Biden should not concede under any circumstances. They're talking about Donald Trump trying to sow distrust in the government. Let me simplify this for you, folks. I talked about it yesterday. I hate to repeat myself, but I'm going to do it anyway. Donald Trump has sown zero distrust in America's traditional institutions or constitutional powers. The only distrust that Donald Trump has bred, and really it's shined a light on, is in the media.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's why they want to make you think that it's Donald Trump who is the one who doesn't want law and order, who wants violence in the streets, that it's Donald Trump who won't concede, that it's Donald Trump who doesn't value American institutions. No. As a matter of fact, if you look on every single issue, let's look at it. Okay, the Supreme Court. Donald Trump values institutions and traditionalism. Let's look at the Electoral College. Donald Trump sees a value. And he understands and values and errs on the side of traditionalism. Second Amendment rights. Well, he sees Americans as having that right. Law and order. Well, he doesn't believe that people should be able to riot and loot and commit arson. What about conceding the election? Well, the election, he just thinks you should go in and vote. My God. That is eerily similar to Hitler.
Yeah, exactly. And
that was my primary gripe with Hitler, by the way.
Well, it was the voting.
I don't want to see you using the German Postal Service. It's overburdened. You must go in person and vote.
Use the train.
Use the train. Unless your name has a lot of vowels in the last one, then stay home.
It's a special train.
Right. And do you know any conservative out there who, if Donald Trump clearly loses the election, right, he goes through whatever process that is, whether he takes it to court to make sure the count is correct. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. That's what Gore did back when Bush v. Gore, right? If he goes through the process and loses, do you know any conservative that would be willing to throw everything away and say, no, he's not leaving? We're just going to let him stay in power? Nobody would do it. I don't know a single person has come out and said that they would say, yeah, he loses the election, he can stay in power. Well, that's obviously not what he's talking about, but they're not giving him the benefit of the doubt. You know who they did give the benefit of the doubt to? Hillary Clinton, when she said, don't concede under any circumstances. Well, I don't think Hillary meant stay there and never let anybody else and maybe jump the fence and run into the White House and claim your president. I don't think she did.
She absolutely did.
I argue that she did.
She was going to do it like Naked Running Man at baseball game again.
The camera would just pan away. You don't want to give them that audience.
You have to have a wide angle lens.
But CNN never covered that as being, oh my gosh, Joe Biden is going to just assume the presidency even if he loses. And yet what we see with Donald Trump is that logic goes out the window. Context goes out the window.
Hold on a second. Someone will take that out of context. What we see with Donald Trump is logic goes out the window.
That's
you mean
true.
What we see from
with the media's coverage of Donald Trump.
In relation to Donald
we have
Trump.
To spell it out.
I don't want conservatives to start protesting this show because being a dad has made you soft.
I'm not soft. Their coverage of Donald Trump has no logic to it. Of course, he didn't mean that. He's been speaking out against mass mail-in ballots because, God forbid, Texas has 95,000 non-citizens on that roll right now.
We're going to do a segment on that next week. I personally, now I know we have statistics. We've talked about that, how mail-in voting has been an absolute disaster. Not absentee voting, but mail-in voting.
Yeah.
I know somebody whose father has been dead for years, received his father's ballots, could just send it in, vote.
Done.
Yeah, he's still alive.
Yeah,
really?
Exactly.
Sure. You don't know. I have the screenshots. We'll run that Monday personally. It's hysterical and frightening.
And that's all he's pointing to. He's saying, I want your votes to count. If you vote and you say that I'm not going to be your president, fine. When January comes, we're going to put some other guy in here. But what's going to happen, his comment about getting rid of the ballots was not getting rid of votes that people have cast.
No.
It's making sure that your vote counts, not somebody else who's ballot harvesting. And when that happens,
that's not even what it is. Listen, if you ask a fighter, you ask any fighter, it's a very simple analogy. You don't ask that kind of a question. You ask a fighter who is, let's say, fighting a number one contender spot and then about to fight for the championship. And you say, hey, this is if you win this fight, are you thinking about the heavyweight championship? They always answer, it would be a mistake to overlook my current opponent. I'll think about that now and we'll talk about that when we get there. That's how you answer these things, especially if someone asks the hypothetical in which you get your ass kicked by a 90-year-old with dementia.
I'm not going to answer your question on your premise.
I want to go to you, Wade, but let's just really quickly, while they talk about Donald Trump sowing distrust, who is it that's been fomenting actual violence and distrust in the American system? Well, it just so happens we have a supercut.
And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
We
will, as per Chief Jim Hopper, punch some people in the face when they seek to destroy
you first. It's a big enough target.
And the marginalized.
And everyone beware.
All right, come to my
neighborhood. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, in a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome. Anymore, anywhere.
Yeah, the black lady, Maxine Waters, is saying, your kind's not welcome here. Or anywhere. Oh my God, how absolutely eerie. Wait, hold on, did they miscast Roots?
I was more offended she said gasoline.
I expect her to have a three-prong whip, just like, build that shack. What is that? You create a crowd and tell them if they aren't welcome here. And here's something, too. When people say, because of Donald Trump's rhetoric, people out there have now been violent and we have white supremacy. I can't point to any rhetoric that is remotely similar. Now, we're not talking about a campaign which says, I'd like to punch that guy in the face, which the left has also done, as we just showed you. But Maxine Waters, you have an actual official saying, create a crowd, create a mob, and let them know that they aren't welcome here. And guess what people have done? It's exactly that. I haven't seen Donald Trump say, and by the way, cops, I want you to go out and shoot blacks. Just make sure your body cams are off. There is no direct correlation and causation, action, equal reaction from Donald Trump and violence that you would see on the right if it existed. It doesn't exist en masse like the left, as you see from the rhetoric from leftist elected officials and the behavior of their constituents. I'm sorry, it's not a hunch anymore. It's not a theory. She said, create a crowd, let them know that they're not welcome. That's exactly what people have done. We've showed you We've shown you hundreds of instances of that happening. That guy says, go out and punch them in the face. Kamala Harris, first POS VP candidate, goes out, POS. She goes out and she says, we want to see more of these riots, and we see more of them. Action, reaction. It's clear as day. Show me that example right now on the right. And guess what? If some neo-Nazis go, it doesn't qualify. It doesn't qualify because Donald Trump said neo-Nazis should be condemned totally. They're
an inch.
Yeah, that woman is mentally handicapped. I don't want, when she's going like this, it's like, I've worked with special needs people.
Out
mentally
and
handicapped.
Eventually, I do believe he will win if we don't give an inch.
Yeah, that woman is mentally handicapped. I don't want, when she's going like this, it's like, I've worked with special needs people. The biomechanical neurons are misfiring. They're not telling her how to act. And Hillary Clinton, she's like, I haven't done an interview.
Lost it.
Yeah, well, but that's good.
A lot of people don't like Joe Biden to be what he is, but it do. Show you the full context.
Deportations.
Freeze deportations for the first 100 days. And only people will be deported are people who committed a felony while here. That's number one. Hey,
Let me get that right. You are going to freeze.
I lost it.
Yeah, well, but that's good.
A lot of people don't like Joe Biden to be what he is, but it do.
I am disgusted.
And here's something that I've noticed with Joe Biden. Okay, he does a lot, and no one's calling him on it because this is a tactic that only works. I was talking with Reg the Bandit about this. It only works if the media carries your water. Okay. Yeah. And the tactic that he uses, the technique, and I do appreciate that it's sort of a coping mechanism with his dementia, is when he starts talking himself into a corner.
Sure.
Yeah. He doesn't correct it. He doesn't try and sort of reverse course or try and readjust and go, let me get to that point anyway. Let me find another way, like congruent and concurrent.
I had to fuck it up for y'all just real quick second. Appreciate y'all for coming on again. Like, follow, share, and subscribe to this channel. Oh Lord, we about to get into this, but I gotta go and come back. Gotta make a liquor store run. Appreciate you for keeping it presidential. And I'll see you on the next DJ Vintage Monday. Keep it, and I mean keep it. James Bond. Keep it what? What did I say, people? I don't think you heard me. Keep it James Bond. James Bond. Appreciate you guys. Like, follow, share, and subscribe. Be back in a minute.